Class, for this lesson we are talking about division. We will be looking at just one-digit divisors and two-digit dividends. We'll talk about what those words mean. Our learning targets for today's lesson are, I can represent or model division using base 10 pieces. And our second learning target is I can divide with one-digit divisors and two-digit dividends using the forgiving method. And we will be learning what the forgiving method is. All right, we will be using our base 10 pieces to model this division problem. Mrs. Leach and Miss Till have 57 marbles to share. How many marbles should each teacher get if they are divided fairly? So we have two teachers and we are dividing 57 marbles amongst those two teachers. We have a few things that we want to think about before we start solving. One of those is, will all of the marbles be shared between the two teachers if each teacher gets the same amount? In other words, will there be leftovers? So the way we can look at that is, if we're sharing with two people, will that divide evenly into 57? And the answer is no, because 57 ends in an odd number, 7. And we cannot divide it evenly into two groups because 2 is an even number. So we will probably have some leftovers. We know that Mrs. Leach will have some marbles and Miss Till will have some marbles, but there's going to be some leftovers in there somewhere that don't get divided amongst the two people. So the second thing to think about is to estimate the number of marbles that each teacher will get. And the way you can do that for this problem is think about that 57 and make that a more convenient number, like 50. And I know that dividing by 2 is like dividing something in half. Well, I know that half of 50 is 25 if you think about money. So I think that my answer is going to be somewhere around 25. We'll see if I'm right. All right, so here's our problem modeled using base 10 pieces. We have 57 marbles represented with base 10 shorthand. I have 5 skinnies and 7 bits. So I can start sharing or dividing those base 10 pieces or those marbles amongst the two teachers. So Miss Till can have 10 marbles and Mrs. Leach can have 10 marbles. So I'm going to cross off a skinny and a skinny. Miss Till can have another 10 marbles and Mrs. Leach can have another 10 marbles. So I cross those off, but I'm left with one skinny and I can't divide 1 in half unless I do what? That's right, break it up into skinnies. Into bits. So I will have 10 bits. 9, 10, and then cross this one out. I traded it in. So now I can start sharing or dividing up my bits. So I think I can go by 2s to start with. So I can give Miss Till 2 more marbles and Mrs. Leach 2 more marbles. Cross off those 4. Give Miss Till 2 more, Mrs. Leach 2 more. Cross those off. And I can give Miss Till 2 more marbles and Mrs. Leach 2 more marbles. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I can do it one more time at least. 2 more for Miss Till and 2 more marbles for Mrs. Leach. But I have 1 left over that can't go. We can't split a marble in half. So we have 1 left over that Miss Till and Mrs. Leach won't get. So we can see how much each teacher gets right now without that remainder, without that leftover. So Miss Till has 2 skinnies, so 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. And Mrs. Leach should have the same amount if we divided the right way, evenly. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. And we have a leftover or a remainder of 1. Remainder is right here. I want you to write this and think about this. for your vocabulary section. A remainder is a fancy word for leftovers, but I want you to write this whole thing. It's the amount that couldn't be shared evenly, and in parentheses, leftovers. So this one could not be shared evenly. And the way we write that is this: 28, and then an R, capital R, for remainder, 1. So each teacher got 28 marbles, and there was a remainder of 1 left over. There are 2 different ways to write a division problem. One looks like this, and we read it 57 divided by 2 equals 28, remainder 1. And sometimes you'll see it like this, and this is how we need it to look in order to be able to solve it. So this is read just a little backwards. 57 divided by is in front, 2, and the answer goes on top. All right, make sure you have this vocabulary down. And in your practice work section of your note catcher, I want you to try this. So use this base 10 shorthand to try this problem. 56 divided by 3. So I have it drawn out right here. 50, 5 skinnies, and 6 bits, 56. So you're going to be sharing that instead of with 2 people, 3 people. So maybe you're sharing it with Mrs. Leach, Miss Till, and Miss McCarran. So you're going to possibly have 3 groups like this and divide 56 as evenly as you can. All right, so now we are on to the forgiving method. And this is the way that you will be using division more often than the base 10 pieces. The base 10 pieces help us to show it and model it, but this is the mathematical equation to use. So our problem is 74 divided by 3. So we're going to rewrite this. We'll do it right here. 74 divided by 3. And then you take this line and you come straight down, and I'll explain why in a minute. So the first thing you do when solving a problem, looks like our board got a little erased when I slid it, is to make an estimate. Do you think your answer is going to be more than 10, less than 10, more than 20, less than 20? And we pick 10s and 20s because they're convenient numbers to think about. So if I think about mine, if I'm thinking about marbles, I have 74 marbles that I'm dividing amongst 3 people. I'm sharing with 3 people. Well, if I take 10 away at first into each group, that's only 30, 10 and 10 and 10. We still have quite a bit more. So I know it's not going to be less than 10, it's going to be somewhere more than 10. Okay, so if I took away 20 marbles into 3 groups, 20 marbles, 20 marbles, 20 marbles, that's 60 marbles. That's pretty close. So I think, you know, maybe I could start there with 20. So this is like taking, how many marbles are you going to take away at first? So over here, under the 74, but over on this side of the line, you're going to write the number of marbles you want to take away first. So I have 3 groups of 20 marbles. What does that equal? 60. So I write 60 under the 74, and I'm going to subtract that from the 74. So I do 4 minus 0 is 4, and 7 minus 6 is 1. So I have 14 marbles left that don't have a group. So can I put 14 marbles into 3 groups? I sure can. There's enough to be able to put some more into each of my groups. So if I know my math facts, I know that 3 times 4 is 12. And that would give me almost up to 14. So I'm going to put that over here under the 14, but on this side, I'm going to take and put, oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong see, Mrs. Leach made a mistake. I'm going to take and put a 4 here because I'm going to take 4 more marbles and put them in 3 more groups. So 3 times 4 is 12. Subtract that from the 14 again, and I have 2 marbles left. Well, can I divide 2 marbles into 3 groups? I can't. So this is going to be my leftovers, my remainder. So I always circle my remainder so I don't forget about it. So then I have to take what we've done on this side and add it up. So I make sure when I'm writing these, I always want to make sure that my ones column is lined up, my tens column, and so on. So right now it is. So 0 plus 4 is 4, and 2 plus 0 is 2. So my answer is 24, and I write this up on top of my line. 24, remember the R for remainder, and I have a remainder of 2. My answer is 24. I don't know if you can see that very well. 24 remainder 2. Kind of frame that over there so you can see it, but we always write it on top. I want to show you one other way to do this. If you don't make the estimate, this made it really short. I can show you that it can take a lot longer if you don't make the estimate, or if you don't know your math facts, if you don't know 3 times 2 is 6, or 3 times 4 is 12. This method kind of forgives you for that. That's why it's called the forgiving method. So it can take a little longer, but you can still do it, and I'll show you how. So if I come over here and draw my problem out again, okay, so say I didn't make an estimate, or I just want to start with a real easy number like 10. So I can go over here, again, over under my 74, but off to the side. I'm going to take 10 groups of marbles first and put them in each of my groups, of each of my 3 groups. So that would give me 10 times 3 is 30 marbles that I've gotten rid of now. So I subtract, again, just like the other way. 7 minus 3 is 4, so I have 44 left. I have 44 marbles to put in their 3 groups yet. So I could do another 10 if I'm, not sure about my math facts. I could do 3 times 10 again, which is 30, because I've taken 10 more marbles and put them into this group and this group and this group, and that is 30 marbles. So then I can do 4 minus 0 is 4, and 4 minus 3 is 1. So I have 14 marbles left to place. So I could do my 3 times 4 math fact, and I know that if I put 4 marbles in each group, that will get rid of 12 marbles for me, and I can subtract that from my 14 that were left, and I have 2 left over. I'm going to circle my remainder and add up my sides, the marbles that I put away, and I have 10 plus 10 plus 4. I have 24 marbles in each group with a remainder of 2. So, same answer, but this one took me a little longer. It was one more step with this. But sometimes if you had a much bigger number here, this could take you could use up a whole page doing this way. So we want to learn our math facts, and we want to make those estimates so that we can get a nice big number at first that makes our steps a lot shorter. All right, so we have some vocabulary here for you to write in your note catcher. The first one is quotient. And quotient is just a big fancy math word for the answer to a division problem. You'll only see quotients in division. All right, write that down. And the next word is divisor. And the divisor is the number that you divide by, or the number of shares. So in this problem, we were dividing by 3. We were sharing with 3 people. So that was the divisor. And a way that I do to remember that is I think divisor, so it has the at the end, and I think about it as the worker. It does all the work. It's the one dividing and doing all the heavy lifting. So that's how I remember this one's the divisor and not our last word, dividend. And the dividend is the amount that you want to divide up or share. So we had 74 marbles to divide up or share. So that's our dividend. And under here, I underlined the end part. It's the number on the end of these problems when we write it like this. It's not the one in the front, it's the one on the end. So if that helps you, you can write that and underline that as well. That really helps me remember which one's which. The last thing I want you to write in your vocabulary section is this little drawing here. This will help you as well. So we have the dividend is the one in the inside that we are dividing up. On the outside we have the worker, the divisor, doing all the work out there. Well, this one just sits back. And then the quotient is the answer that we always write on the top. So that might help you, that little visual. You should have this, this, and this in your vocabulary section. Okay. Now it's your turn to try the forgiving method. You can always rewatch my 2 examples from before. It's the same problem, but 2 different ways to solve it. We have number 2, and you should already have number 1 in your practice work part from using the base 10 pieces. Now you're going to use the forgiving method. So you're going to want to write this, with your nice long lines so that you can solve it. So you'll solve that one, and then make sure you number them, and then make room, if you need to use the back of your note catcher, that's fine, or another page. And there is no summarize for this section, so that's it. Good luck and have fun with the forgiving method.